Well, hello there. It is a beautiful day, isn't it? I am honored and humbled that you've chosen to gift me with your time here today. And I'm thrilled for the opportunity to connect with you. My name is Marie Dubois, and I am a holistic health guide and certified essential oils coach. My certification is with the American Medical Association of Drugless Practitioners, and I have been in business for about 5.5 years now. It is always, and of course, my desire to use times such as these wisely to educate and to make a difference. So, anytime I'm to present or teach, I always ask for guidance from spirit. And I know that sounds woo woo, but part of being an intuitive healer kind of means that I am woo woo, right? So, I always ask, what do you want me to say? And what's going to make the biggest impact? And for this particular message, I was reminded of one of my favorite sayings. Not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. So, what I'm talking about and what makes me stand out is the intangible, the incorporeal, right? The us inside, that it's part of our visceral memory, that like breathing, it's just what we do, it's who we are. There are things and parts of us that we bring to the table that can't be quantified or qualified or explained or even duplicated. So I operate under the philosophy that I am not in the oil business. I am in the relationship business. So to build a relationship takes trust, right? Trust takes time and getting to know someone. And so these few minutes that I have with you are important to me because a relationship is not based on the length of time you spend together. It's based on the foundation you've built together and the quality of time that you spend. So this time with you today is my opportunity to lay our cornerstone, and I'm going to give you a glimpse into who I am and provide an understanding of why it is that I say I am your doTERRA wellness advocate. And I'm going to introduce you just a little piece of me inside and the reason why I even get out of bed in the morning, what drives me, right? The way I see it, I have hours of one-to-ones and in times when I can regale you with stories of how marvelous and powerful essential oils are, and how impactful doTERRA's nutritional supplements can be for you. But today, it's just all about me and you. So my intent for today, because I do believe in intentional living, intentional learning, I believe that you should be intentional with every day of your life. So my intent for today is to show you how I use my why to give the gift of hope to people and peace of mind to those I encounter and those along the way that I teach and mentor. My goal today is to plant the seed of friendship in you and give you that same hope and peace of mind for yourself and for anyone you might entrust to me through a referral. So, my story, since an early age, I have been a product of our environment, right? I think we all are, and prescription drugs. I was very, very active, and as a result, boy, I hurt myself a lot. I had chronic swimmer's ear. I had a dad that smoked inside the house. I remember feeling the burn in my lungs when he would have his first cigarette every morning in his bed and his last cigarette in bed every morning, or excuse me, at night before he'd go to sleep. And I didn't learn until later. I was diagnosed in my 30s with asthma and I had that burn, but I didn't know what it was. So I grew into an adult, of course, and things didn't really change that much. I never really operated in a balanced state. Um, it just seemed like I struggled with my health constantly. So, unfortunately, in about 2010, our family suffered from the unfathomable tragedy of sudden loss. And if you can imagine, what was already a frail health got tossed right over the edge. The stress, the emotional stress, and physical stress from that just actually shut my body down. So things got steadily worse. And in 2013 and 14, doctor's visits, surgeries, illnesses, you name it, I had it. And at one point, I even went septic and spent probably, oh my gosh, I don't even remember, 8, 9 days in the hospital. And at that point, I almost lost my life, actually. I was very sick. So when I realized I wasn't going to get any better, I knew I had to do something different because what I was doing wasn't working for me. And to expect to do the same thing over and over, right, and get different results doesn't work because you're not going to find a solution doing the same things you've been doing that got you there. So I started looking for something different. And because I was open and looking, I found oils. And then as I started to use the oils, I became aware of a few things. One, I didn't feel like a victim anymore to the healthcare system. I wasn't go here, do this, take this drug. Now I was educated and I was no longer a victim and I had my own options and I could make choices. Um, and then the second thing I learned is that these are solutions not just for me and my family, but for others. And I saw the bigger picture and how it was going to help me help other people. You see, I truly believe that I live the life I live so that I can help others through my experience. Because if it helps me with understanding comes compassion, and with compassion, we can change the world. So my mission and purpose in life is pretty simple, actually. Um, to use my light, my mission and purpose in life is to use my light to lift and inspire others and myself towards hope and happiness, empowerment, abundance, and living their own true purpose. And sometimes, well, often, people I work with as my business partners and abundance partners, they haven't even discovered their true purpose yet. So I get the additional blessing of accompanying them on that journey. But I've always known I was a light. And it was time for me to start living that on a bigger scale. Early in my doTERRA journey, I learned that when you choose to live and serve, it's actually really important to understand why you've chosen to live and serve. Because once you figure out that why, it really never ever changes. Not your soul-based why. Your soul-based why will stay the same and it'll drive you. There's no way you can't not chase it when you know what it is. It gets you out of bed in the morning. Formalizing the why is somewhat of a process. And even though you think you might know it in your heart, getting it down on paper is a process and it takes time. And then, but once you have it, it's so rewarding and so empowering. It just drives you. So, actually, my own experience, knowing my why made me fearless. I recognized doTERRA right away. And in truth, I've been told something was coming, but that's a whole other story I'll tell you later. So I'm with doTERRA because I am a light that shines to provide love and hope to the world. I believe doTERRA was given to me as a means to serve my higher purpose. It's really just a resource in the toolbox for me that helps me help other people. And because I recognized it, I chose to accept the gift of the oils and of the company and of my doTERRA family and all of the abundance that brings to me, which includes you, right? With these blessings, I am paying forward the miracles that have happened in my own life, and there have been so many. And I do that as I invite others like you to learn, and I teach those who are open, and I mentor those who are committed. It's my purpose actually that creates this flame that you see and the passion that you'll always see. It's an unwavering determination that never leaves me. And it's palpable. I know you can feel it sometimes, is what I hear. So the way I see things, it's my responsibility, mine, to speak up. Because if I see that you're suffering and I don't speak up and you suffer because I let fear of rejection, fear of what you might say or think about me, if I let you suffer because of that, then that's on me. And I have to carry that with me and know that I left the presence of someone who may have been in complete pain, but I was too afraid to say something. But if I offer, and if I ask you if you're open to different solutions and you tell me no, then that's on you, right? Doesn't mean you can't come back later. You can always change your mind. So exactly how is it? I'm sure you're wondering that I take all of that, mash it up together, and stir it up to create hope and offer peace of mind. Well, in one unfortunate word, the answer is pain. Frequently, by the time someone sits with me, they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They've explored and tried many solutions. Some are feasible, some are not, some work, some don't. They've really usually resigned themselves to just living with it. And at this point, they've given up hope of ever finding a solution or a way to live differently or even just feel moderately better. The road to their solution with me is paved with a bunch of questions. And to help, I listen. I listen to things they're saying and things they're not saying. What are the areas that are causing you the most pain? And when I say pain, I'm not limiting it to physical pain. Pain can be many things. Pain can be mental, physical, emotional. How long? How long have you been doing this? How long have you had this imbalance? And I want you to, and I always ask people, be honest with yourself because it's amazing what you can learn to live with, what can become a new normal. Maybe one day you wake up and your knee hurts and you can't find the solution, and then you just live with your knee hurts, and someday, and your knee hurts every day, but now it's just a new normal for you. So when I ask you, how long has this been going on? Sometimes you have to really think, oh, when did my knee start to hurt? What are you doing now that's working? What's working well? What's working not so well? Together we look at the list of things that are going on and we see if we can find the root cause. Perhaps their stress is causing digestive challenges or headaches or neck and shoulder pain or lack of sleep. You never know. We are a database. We're an amazing database and we're all connected. So which symptoms bother you the most? Long-term challenges are going to need long-term solutions and long-term attention, like resetting an adrenal system or helping the body repair a leaky gut. It takes time. In the meantime, we look at supporting the body through the symptoms they're experiencing, right? I want to get you some relief from your symptomology. And if your doctor has told you the trouble is your leaky gut and it causes you a terribly upset stomach with some heartburn, we can find options for immediate relief for that. I want to see how the goals are related. Maybe you also have trouble with dairy products, right? And would like to enjoy cheese again. Well, the protocol that we put in place for your digestive system and your leaky gut can also help with your intolerance for all things cow, and it might even give you back that cheese that you want to eat. I also want to know, how serious are you? What's different now? If you felt like this last year, why are you here talking to me today? What changed? What makes you say that? It doesn't matter what your goal is. I mean, if you want to lose 20 pounds or you want to go to the gym 5 days a week or you want to climb Mount Everest, it doesn't really matter unless you're emotionally committed to the result. You're not going to start the journey, right? Using oils and oil-infused nutraceuticals is rewarding and it's fun once you get the hang of it. It's really super easy, but for the best results, consistency and frequency are required. So it's important for you to be ready. The more you experience oils and the more you understand them, the more you come to love and trust them. It's kind of like networking, actually. So when we're done with all of those questions, they've learned some things that have the power to be life-changing. If doTERRA is a fit, then they're on their way to living a doTERRA lifestyle. And if they decide it's not for them, that's okay too. It just means they're in a better mood because I oiled them up and they smell pretty. You see, I'm passionate about helping people who see doTERRA as a fit, and those that aren't. That's okay too, because they're open and they can always change their mind, and I'm not going anywhere. So what's in it for me? Well, the answer to that, I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to summarize in just 2 ways. First of all, and my favorite one is what I experience. I call it living in my why. And that's when I sit with someone and we walk through all these questions and I see and feel, sometimes it's just the slightest little shift, just tiny, and I can feel it. And maybe the light will spark in their eyes, or maybe they lift just a little bit, their energy lifts, and they go from hopelessness into hope. That's when they realize that they don't have to live with the things that they've been living with anymore, and there are options. They really just have to have the faith of a mustard seed, and the rest just works itself out. That feeling of gratitude that I feel when I'm with them and I'm living in my why, that is my favorite thing to do. And then the other thing, remember I told you there'd be seconds. So secondly, I want to share a story with you. I've gathered a lot of stories in 5.5 years, but today I'm only going to tell you one. I'd like you to meet my friend Debbie. Debbie and I have known each other for a very, very long time, and we had lost touch. She found me on Facebook, sent me a friend request, and we hadn't really talked much, but we were just kind of waiting in the wings. You know how you do, stalking and watching each other without saying anything. She mentioned once or twice that she was recovering from some stuff, and there were some vague mentions, but we never really got serious until one night I got this text message that you see here. She was actually going through some pretty serious stuff, and she was desperate. She asked me to fix her, which we know I can't do. I can just offer some solutions, right? So, by the way, it took me a year for her to be ready. She'd make an appointment, she'd cancel on me. She'd make an appointment, she canceled on me. So remember, I told you, you do have to be ready. Well, anyway, we finally sat down um, shortly after she sent me this message. And I'll never forget that night. Before we started to reconnect, I asked her if I could oil her. And she said, sure. So we're lost in our reconnecting, right? And about 20 minutes later, she stops talking in the middle of a sentence and she gets up and she walks across the room, turns around and is looking down at her legs. And when she looks up at me, she's crying. It was the very first time in a very long time that she was without pain. 3 days later, she decided doTERRA was a fit for her. And from that day forward, it was game on. She jumped in with both feet. Now, what's really exciting for me is that about 6 months later, after introducing her to these oils, this woman who does not even like to be in a room of more than 2 people stood up in front of a room of more than 50, used a microphone, and told the room how oils had changed her life. Now, I asked Debbie for permission to tell you her story. And here's what she said to me. I said, can I use your story? She was like, what story? The answer in this text, you can see, is a piece of what she told us that night. But as it turns out, I didn't even understand when I sat with her to reconnect where she was. She was in so much pain that she was busily putting her life in order because she was planning to remove herself from our world. So lives were changed forever that day in March when I sat with her. Not just hers and not just mine. And when I think about it, I consider the impact her loss would have had on her husband and her children and her grandchildren, family, friends, children that flocked to her at Sunday school. So this is what's in it for me, the reward. Miracles happen and lives are changed. So I decided that one of the things I do is to spark hope. And I teach people how to empower themselves through the use of essential oils as natural solutions to their healthcare needs. It's important for me that people understand that I'm not a doctor and I do not want to replace your doctor. I want to educate and empower you with options so that you can make different decisions if you want. And I'm also going to show you how to find your own options. So pain is inevitable, I've learned, but suffering is absolutely optional. The people, who do I work with? Well, people who are open to trying new things. They care about their health. Maybe it's you or that person you know, family, friend, acquaintance, coworker. They never feel quite right, but they never really complain about it because they've learned to live with their new version of normal. The people I work with are looking for a change. The things they're doing aren't working. And here's just a few of the things that I work with: allergies, pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, gut, adrenal, energy, attention, brain fog. And I also work, of course, with people who want to empower themselves and others. For the people in your life that this brings to mind, there is a great way to plant the seed. You just ask them, I'm just curious, are you open to natural medicines? And that's really all it takes. Thank you again for being here with me today. My name is Marie Dubois. I am your holistic health guide and certified essential oil mentor. I'm teaching you about doTERRA for simple, safe, intentional, empowered living. Yes, there's an oil and so much more for that. Thank you for listening today. Until next time, I'm sending you light and love for continued health, harmony, joy, and ease. May the angels bless you and those around you with the peace that only faith can bring and the ability to see grace in all things. Have a blessed day. Bye now.